So far we have studied like why data sciences are needed, and we have studied about the applications of data sciences. What is data sciences? So we have seen the five different things like why data sciences is needed. And in the areas of focus, we have seen, we have gone through the course content here, the journey of how our journey for the next 6 months, 6 to 7 months would be. Now we will see about applications after learning about all of these things. Now let's talk about, let's try to appreciate data. To appreciate data, we have to understand what data is. So for any model to succeed, right, the most important thing needed is data, historical data. So you need historical data. Unless you have historical data, you are not, machine learning models fail if there is no historical data. There's also other way where if there is no historical data, even if you do not have a historical data, there is also other way you can apply machine learning. That is called reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is something like a human being, right? We learn as a kid, as you grow up, your mind matures, and then you take decisions as you grow up, right? So this is called as active learning. So for all of these things, you require data, whether it be a historical data or whether it be a learning as you grow, you require data. So what kind of data is actually available? So we have seen this. We have seen we need right data for the problem that you are working on. If you have to pick the right data. Unless you pick the right data, you will never be able to solve your problem correctly. Say for example, I think we have discussed about one problem in the beginning, right? So where a person who wants to travel from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, right? He wants to have Kanyakumari, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, right? The 3,000 kilometers trek, right? For this to travel from this place to this place, you need to have data. So what kind of data would you need? You would need maps, data related to maps, data related to weather, right? So you would need data related to the latitude and longitude, which is available from the maps, right? So you need this data. So any data which is not, so if you pick healthcare data, right? Is healthcare data useful for this kind of a problem? Is healthcare data useful for this kind of a problem? No. Right? Is defense data needed for this problem? No. So you need to pick right data. You need to pick right data to arrive at a solution. So what data is right data? So to know what data is right data, it is important that data scientists should work with the subject matter expert to bring the right data. So this is called a data collection strategy that we initially spoke about, right? We spoke about data collection strategy initially. So that is right data. To get right data, you have to work with subject matter expert to bring the right data. Now, right attributes. Attributes are variables. Attributes are variables or parameters, what we call them as in data science parlance. So we need right attributes, right variables, or right parameters to work on data. So what does it mean by? What does it mean by right variables and right data, right variables? So say for example, somebody is working on somebody wants to predict diabetes, right? Somebody wants to predict diabetes. So diabetes, yes or no? A person has diabetes, yes or no? Now, to predict diabetes, what are the variables that we would typically use? We will take blood samples, right? We'll use blood samples. we'll take age groups, data related to age, we'll take data related to gender. So these are different variables that we typically use. We'll take data related to urine analysis, medical data. Now, can we use data related to the movie information, whether somebody likes movie or not? Or can we, data something related to the travel related data, or something like a distance parameter? So these are the variables these are the variables not useful for diabetes analysis, right? Data related to distance, data related to height. No, these variables are not needed for the analysis if a person has diabetes or not. So these variables are important variables. So this is right data, whereas the variables that does not contribute in the prediction of in the prediction of a variable in the predictor is not a right data. So these variables are not useful for our analysis. So so we will have to find some. We will study about some techniques known as, we'll study about statistical techniques, how to identify which attributes are useful and which attributes are not useful. We study them in something known as dimensionality reduction. This is called as dimensionality reduction, reducing the number of dimensions, reducing the number of variables here, right? So to succeed in your machine learning problem, you need a data scientist should work on right data and right attributes, right? So attributes, variables, or features. So these are the, we will study about different jargon now with respect to data. Significant variables, right? So we some variables that are, okay. So significant, what are significant variables? Now we have drawn a picture here, right? We have drawn a tabular diagram here, right? So we have said diabetes yes or no. Diabetes yes or no, and we have variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, and variable n variables here, right? So among these variables which are significant and which contribute in the prediction of data are significant variables. Redundant variables are those variables which do not contribute in the which do not contribute in the prediction of data. Now there are different other variables like dummy variables. Dummy variables are those variables where you have a category, right? Category 1, category 2, category 3, and so on up to you have and then you have category 3 and then category 2. You have a categorical data, and then you want to convert this categorical data into numeric data, right? How do you convert this categorical data into numerical categories? So we use something, we call those variables which converts these categorical numbers into categorical data into numbers as dummy variables. We'll see this when we do a Python lab. And then we'll talk about the derived variables, right? So what are derived variables? Say you have distance given, and then you have time given here, right? Distance and time is given to you, and you wanted to derive the velocity. So velocity, which is distance by time, is a derived variable. So this is another variable that we have to that we study about when we talk about how do you manufacture derived variables. Right? Now, talking about hidden variables, there are also something like hidden variables. Variables, something like, if somebody has fever, right? Fever is a latent. If somebody has fever is a visible variable. Now, there are other parameters that lead to a fever. Something like body. Something like if somebody has something like if somebody has stomach pain, right? If someone has a stomach pain, right? If someone has diarrhea or body pains, right? So all these all these are latent. These are latent or not visible. And as a result of this, you have fever. So fever is so these are the latent variables that are contributing to fever. So we have to identify which variables, which are those hidden variables which are contributing to fever. So we will do a latent variable analysis. This is called LVM, latent variable analysis. We will study about latent variable analysis, how to excavate, how to bring out those hidden variables from the data. Then dependent variable. So this is a dependent variable. So this is a dependent variable, and attributes are independent variables. Attributes are independent variables. These are independent variables, and this is a dependent variable. So supervised learning algorithms have dependent variables. Unsupervised algorithms do not have dependent variables. We'll talk about that when we discuss, when we do a deep dive into understanding the machine learning algorithms about dependent and independent variables, right? So dependent variables are also known as target variables. So diabetes yes or no, diabetes yes or no is a target variable. This is also called as dependent variable. So these are the different names and variables that we usually work when we talk about data. So this is just an introduction, like what are the different types of variables that we have. We'll talk about significant variables which are significant in the contribution in the contribution of prediction, whether someone has diabetes or not, or whether a customer will churn or not, or whether somebody has somebody would pass a class 10 or not, So the target variable, dependent variable, significant variables are the ones which have direct impact on a target variable, which tell a story about a target variable. Redundant variables are those variables which do not contribute in the analysis of a target variable, right? And then we spoke about derived variables, distance by time or velocity by time, and the hidden variables that are latent, and but they explain a condition. So those are latent variables, like fever. Fever is fever is observable, and the other variables like stomach pain, diarrhea, body pain, those are latent in the body. And then as a result of this, somebody would have fever, right? So these latent conditions, these are the latent variables that contribute to fever. So we will study about these latent variables when we speak about PCA or LVM, latent variable analysis, and principal component analysis is PCA. We'll study about these techniques to understand. We will do an example to understand how to bring about those variables. All right, so that is about different types of variables that we study, and then let's move on to. So yeah, this is a target variable, and these are features. So target variables or features or attributes. So features or attributes, these are the other names to variables, right? So say for example, if you have an equation, right, y is equal to beta naught x1 plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 and so on up to beta n xn, where x1 is this variable, months, x2 is another variable here. Sorry, so beta naught x naught, sorry, this is beta naught x naught, beta 1 x1, beta 2 x2, beta n xn. So this is x3 variable, this is x4 variable, and so on up to x8 variable. So this is how a variable is represented. Each column here is a parameter or a variable that is that you typically write it in an expression, something like this, right? So these are significant. So we spoke about different types of variables here. So let's move on and then talk about different types of data now. So we have data in different forms, such as tabular data, right? So this is tabular data, where data is cleanly organized, whether something or yes or no, you have numeric data. So you have, this kind of data is called tabular data. This kind of data is available in your Excel spreadsheets. It is available in database tables. This kind of data is also available in JSON formats and XML strings or so this kind of data is available from many such databases, right? So this data is typically clean, almost you have to do a bit of statistical analysis on this data before applying a machine learning model on this. Now coming to the textual data, right? So textual data is extremely unclean. So if you look at Twitter feeds, right? Twitter feeds, textual data is very difficult to work with textual data. So it is free flowing, and then you have different languages. Different types in which each person speaks and writes. So textual data is extremely difficult to work on, and it is highly unstructured because of the way because of the way it is being spoken, and because of the way it is being written, because of the way you understand it, and because of the way you understand, and then somebody understands it, and then you present it. So textual data is extremely unclean, and there are something like if there is a satire, right? A human being can understand a satire, but for a machine to understand a satire, or whether something is a joke, right? So it is hidden. The meaning is hidden in the text. Only a person who understands the language and who understands the constructs and the grammar of that language, right, can understand a satire, and then based on that he can take decisions, laugh, become angry, So this is all latent. So there are many such dimensions for data, for textual data, and that's why textual data is extremely difficult to work on. Is a challenging area to work on, right? All right. So and the other forms of data is log data from sensors, right? So when you get into an industry, right, you have thousands of electronic components, right? Raspberry Pi, you have many electronic components. You have data coming from several semiconductors, and this data is extremely unstructured. You have different types of data you have thousands of formats coming up from each machine or each module or from each semiconductor device, and then from each of these from each of these machines, you are getting a log data, which is sensor data, and then based on the data which is available on these sensors, you have to take those decisions. You have to take decisions. Say, for example, I'll give an example. There was a use case that I was trying to work on for Boeing, where you know how an aeroplane would look like, right? There are thousands of sensors on an aeroplane, right? So on an aeroplane, on an aeroplane. My picture, the way I draw is pretty rudimentary, and I apologize for that. But there are thousands of electronic components embedded in an aeroplane, right? Now there was a use case where I wanted to understand based on that, I wanted to read the data from sensors, and understand when will the component go haywire, or I need to understand at which point of time that component fails or goes haywire, and where will it fail, at which location, in which country is it very likely to fail, and I need to have a replacement component of that failure component in that specific country, and it should be replaced at that specific point of time. So imagine that kind of a decision is to be taken based on the sensors, based on sensor data, which is extremely unclean. right? So you need to, a data scientist should actually work deep with the data to understand. He has to understand what this actually mean by, right? And then the data from all these sensors must be collated in a specific place, right? They have to understand the time specifications of these sensors to do. You have to do a time domain analysis. You have to apply fast Fourier transforms to convert your data into a frequency domain, and perhaps take better decisions based on those frequencies, right? So uh, so yeah, these kind of use cases usually apply in manufacturing, in the manufacturing industries, right? So yeah, this is one example for log data, and then a use case from the industry. And then you have data from speech, right? We spoke about this use case where language is a person speaking in English translated to a Spanish. So develop a machine learning model that converts the language in English to Spanish. Or you have a banking system uses your voice as a password, voice passwords, right? And then it authenticates you into your account using your voice passwords, right? So speech data is extremely unclean, as you know that. So this is how a speech signal data would look like. So you have to first convert the speech data into a textual data, and then use this textual data to use to take those decisions, right? So how do you do that? So this is a very active area of research, that is speech data research, is speech data for machine learning models. And then there are use cases around this are very exciting and active research area. Probably this is one area where you can work on after this course. There are also other applications like you use your speech to log in to your house. You wanted to use your speech as your lock for your home, as your home lock, right? And then once you speak your password, you then enter into your home. So this is kind of a burglar alarm system. This is another example application of how a speech data can be used in real time. There are many, countless number of applications out there. Right. So speech data, forms of data. We are talking about forms of data: tabular data, textual data, sensor data, speech data, images, videos. So these are the different forms of data that we have. We will be working as data scientists down the lane. Now, talking about the types of data, we have seen numeric data. So data is data in numeric forms. So numeric data is, once again, you have interval data where you can perform individual, say for example 1938, right? If this is year, right? You cannot multiply a year with another year, right? So even though this is numerical data, you cannot multiply this data, these numbers, right? Similarly, another form of data is ratio data, where where you can perform divisions, right? So ratio is like I have velocity is about 18 meters per second, and another velocity term is like 18 meters per second. Sorry. Say for ratio, you have something like distance is in kilometers, and then another parameter in seconds, right? So you can perform kilometers per second with this numeric data. Numeric data in kilometers, numeric data in seconds can be converted into a ratio data, right? So date is another form of data type that we typically work on, in tabular data. So I'm talking about tabular data here, different forms of data that you find in tabular data, different data types in tabular data. Some of them are like numeric data, date forms of date data types, categorical data types. And then in categorical data types, again, you have categories like ordinal data. You have something like 0, 1, high, low, medium types of variables. You have nominal variables like names, emails, which are nominal variables. And then you have cardinal variables. So when I say nominal variables, right, say a parrot, and you have a parrot. Sorry, my handwriting is pretty bad here. So nominal variables are like parrot, eagle, and a sparrow, right? So these are nominal variables. Say I wanted to talk about birds here. Birds is my variable. In birds as a variable, I have 3 forms. Now, for a nominal variable, right? All of these variables for these categories of birds, right? There is nothing like which is they're all equal here. They're all at the same level. Like eagle cannot be, eagle is also a bird, parrot is also a bird, sparrow is also a bird, and all of them are at the same level. Nothing like a 0. You cannot put them at these levels like 0, 1, and 2. They are all at the same level, and these kind of variables are known as nominal variables. And the variables like 0, low, high, and medium with these categories, right? So this kind of variable is called ordinal variable. And then coming to cardinality. So cardinal variables are those variables which are unique in number, being unique, like unique IDs. In a tabular form, you will have PAN numbers, right? PAN number is a unique number, and signatures of a person is unique. Signature of a person is unique, and then Aadhaar card numbers are also unique. So variables, this kind of a variable where you have unique numbers, right? So this kind of a variable is called a cardinal variable, where you have all unique numbers, unique IDs, right? So these are the different types of, so we are talking about types of variables here. So we spoke about numeric variables, where variables which are in interval form, like you can specify, even though it is a numeric variable, right? 1938, you can specify it as an interval variable, like you can specify like 1900 to 1910. Division in this case does not make sense. Dividing one year with another year does not make sense. So you cannot represent interval variables as a ratio. And the ratio variables, we have seen that you can divide one numeric with the other numeric, right? So those are numeric variables. And categorical variables. So categorical variables are of ordinal, nominal, and cardinal. And further, there are also other types of variables known as free text variables. So free text variables are those variables where you have description about the product descriptions, or you have an essay, you have a review of a product, right? So you wanted to review something. So review is a free text variable. So we'll study, we'll do a deep dive of different forms of data during our course of study. So this is a kind of a summary, like what we will be studying during our course, during our journey in the next 6 months. Now, somebody had asked me, like, how do you clean the text initially during the beginning? There was a question, right? So this is the strategy that we use to clean text. So text cleaning is extremely difficult, because you have, now we are talking about aberrations in the text data. So we spoke about data, we spoke about types of variables, we spoke about forms of data. Now we are speaking about aberrations in the data. So what kind of aberrations does it carry? Textual data carries different sets of aberrations, and numeric data carries different sets of aberrations. So if it is textual data, you have missing text, short forms, grammatical errors, and then you have gibberish text in lowercase, mixed case, and then text with numbers embedded. Say somebody say you want to say sorry, SO, instead of SO or Y, they would write as S00 or Y, right? Or somebody would say great, right? Somebody would say great here. They would write it as GRE3, great, right? So you have, so textual cleaning up this kind of text is extremely difficult, and then you have to use this kind of text for sentiment analysis. So using this kind of text in sentiment analysis is useful. Yeah, so cleaning up of text aberrations. Text has more number of aberrations compared to numeric, and then you have text in everyone has his own slang. So you write it in your own slang, and then you have special characters, right? And then encoding formats. You have different sets of encoding like UTF-8 encoding, and then you have Latin encoding. You have there are about whole bunch of encoding techniques, and then a lot of encoding text goes into your goes into your description. So you have to clean up, you have to identify those encoding formats, and then clean up the text, right? And then you have duplicates as well. So somebody would write repetitive words, repetitive sentences, repetitive phrases, so you have to identify those repetitions. So duplicates is duplicates add a lot of noise to the data. So you have to remove duplicates as well. Emojis, somebody would write a emoji. So this emoji, somebody would write to add as a smiley, and then you have to identify whether it is a smiley or not. Based on that, you have to identify whether it's a positive sentiment or a negative sentiment, right? So you want to take decisions based on these smileys in the text. So you can't clean this text, right? So this text is useful. So how do you convert this kind of special characters into an emoji? So this is learned as part of NLP. We use regular expressions. We use regular expressions for text cleaning, and we use a set of we have a strategy that we study during the coursework, how to clean up these kind of aberrations in the data, missing numbers, abnormal decimals, right? Somebody would be like 18.00 0.000001. You have abnormal number of decimals, unusual numbers. Say in a variable has numbers like 10, 25, 30, 100, 1000, and suddenly you will see a number which is like this, right? So this is an unusual number, and sometimes you would see a number something like this, right? So these are unusual unusual numbers. So you have to identify these unusual numbers. So we will study like how to treat these kind of numbers. Inconsistent dates. So somebody would write a date as in this format. Somebody would write it in this format, August 01, or somebody would write it as 08 1, right? So you have n number of formats, inconsistent date formats, right? So you have to convert them, you have to standardize them, standardizing these numbers, right? And then you have irrelevant numbers which do not make any sense, and then coming up as noise in your data. You have to clean them. Wanton errors and rounding errors. So these are the different types of errors that flow into numeric data types. But we will study about different strategies, how to remove these aberrations from the missing data. Now the time is about the question time. So we spoke about different types of data, right? So we'll take one example here. So we wanted to identify what is the effect of a fertilizer on a plant, and how much of the fertilizer should you have to give. So the question and the problem here is, how much fertilizer should you give? How much fertilizer to the plant? How much fertilizer should you give to the plant? Right. So this is the problem. Now for this problem, we will come up with different attributes that you can plan to make. So the question here is, the target variable is how much. Target variable is how much fertilizer. Target variable is a number here, right? How much is a number here? Number here, right? So it is a continuous variable. How much fertilizer should you give, right? So for this target variable, we will have to now uh, create a create a um, uh, create data here. For this, to determine how much of fertilizer needed for a plant, we will create a short small data set. We'll create a very small toy data sets here. So just a question here. So what are the attributes that that do you think uh, 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 would determine how much of fertilizer would be needed for the plant? What are the attributes here? What are the variables? So I want to try and identify the variables here. What are the variables that would need? If you can type it quickly in your question box or the chat box. All right. Excellent. Soil strength. Soil strength. Yes. All right. So temperature. Yes. Excellent. All right. So size of the pot, type of the plant size, season, right? Size of the pot, type of the plant that you are using, the size of the plant, at what size it is, right? The season in which the season in which you are planting, right? And the soil mix, what is the pH value of the soil, and the amount of sunlight the plant is receiving, and whether it is a fruiting time or it is a flowering time, and the type of the fertilizer that you want, whether you wanted to go with a vermicompost or with a chemical fertilizer, right? So how much of the fertilizer is needed, amount of fertilizer needed, depends upon these variables, right? So yeah, so this is how a problem statement can be defined, and how you can come up with your own set of variables. Pot size, plant type. So this is pot size is a numeric variable. Plant type is a categorical variable. Plant size is a numeric variable. Season is a categorical variable. Soil pH is a numeric variable. Sunlight, yes or no. This is a binary variable. Blossoming, yes or no. This is a binary variable. Fertilizer type, this is a categorical variable. So all these variables are help in determining how much of fertilizer would be needed. So yeah. All right. So with that problem statement, and then defining how the data, how you can frame a solution to a problem, we will go into introduction of we'll do a Python introduction. So for programming of Python, we will be typically using Jupyter notebooks here. So I'm just hurrying it up because because we're running short of time. We'll be talking about Jupyter notebooks. We will be installing Python. We will talk about installation of Python, and then we will give a very high-level introduction about lists, numerics, strings, variables, and dictionaries. We will talk about each one of them. All right, so we will be using Jupyter notebooks as our IDE. This is our development environment. There are other development environments that you can use, something like Spider. You can use Spider. You can use Jupyter Lab. You can also use Visual Studio. You can also use Visual Code. There are also a bunch of PyCharm. There are a bunch of IDEs that you can use for the development for Python machine learning development. So I will be using Python Jupyter Lab. So this is a industry grade IDE, and it has Python installed. it has got Python installed, and I'm using Anaconda distribution for my Python programming, right? So, uh, all right. So I'll jump directly into my environment. So this is how my Jupyter lab would look like, and this is my Anaconda distribution, and I have got the Anaconda distribution already installed on my on my um, on my laptop. You can you can install you can install it through the Anaconda distribution. You can download the Anaconda distribution, the latest version, and then install the Anaconda. Once your Anaconda library is installed, you will have interface something looking like this, and then you can install. You will have to create an ID. You will have to create an environment here. So I'm currently using. I have cloned the base environment, and then I've created a Python 3.6 environment. You can also create other environments like 37. There are other versions. For each version, I usually create one environment. So if you wanted to install Python 37 or Python 38 or Python 39, 3.9, probably you can have one environment for each of these versions. It helps you in your experimentation. So I'm using Python 36, and then if you want to launch a Python Jupyter Lab, you have to use this button to launch your Python IDE. So I was talking about the different IDEs that I spoke earlier. You can use Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebooks. This is a command line interface. And you can also use VS Code for Python programming. So, but Jupyter Lab is extremely is the easiest interface, and you see what you get here. And I'll do a short demo on how to use a Jupyter Lab. So let me launch it here. So this is a Jupyter Lab interface, which is used for Python programming. We have these menus here to create a new book here. This is called a book here, and I'm using a Python 3 IDE here. So I'm selecting this as a kernel here. So now these are called cells here, okay? And these cells can be converted into markdown cells or raw cells or code cells. So code cells are the ones which are used for programming here. So so this is a what you see, what you get editor, where you can run programs directly in these cells, and then you have the output showing up here, right? So we use these commands to run these cells here, and yeah, so like you can do pretty much all mathematical computations here, like 2 into 3, 2 into 5 evaluates to 10, and then you can do anything here. Like you wanted to store anything here. A is equal to CTMS, and B is equal to data science, and these are the variables that you can store these data directly into these variables and then access them directly here. So this is a very easy interface, and Python per se is an easiest language to learn, and the learning curve for Python is extremely small. Even a kid can learn it, right? So even a school-going kid can learn it. So it is not at all a difficult language at all, but it needs a bit of practice, so if you wanted to see the language, if you want to see what is the type of the variable that we have used, we use a command. We use something known as type here. So type is a method. Type is an inbuilt keyword which calls this variable and then displays the type of this variable here. Similarly, you can also use another variable known as another variable called another variable, and then try to find the type of this variable. So this is an integer here. I'm typing and giving another variable, you can also get to know what kind of variable is this. So yeah, so this is a pretty interesting, pretty easy and interesting language to learn. So this is a very high level introduction to tell you like what Jupyter is, and know how to use Jupyter. So we will use this interface in our course of study. Now we have different different types of different data types. We use different data types. Some of them are lists, dictionaries. We use dictionaries, we use lists, we use tuples, we use classes. So we'll study about each of them in detail as we go and study during the course, right? So yeah, so this is how the interface would look like, and this is what we study, right? So yeah, I think I'm done with what I have to deliver for today. So we have spoken about different applications. We have spoken about what data is, what data scientists would do, and what data is, and what are the forms of data, and what language do we use, and what IDE do we use. So we have seen different things here in our 3 hours of interaction. So it was very nice interacting with you, and I would give the control to the team here. Take it forward from here.
Yeah, thanks Vijay for the wonderful session. I hope guys you enjoyed the whole session. Thanks for being patient for the last 3 hours, and we request you to kindly share your reviews and feedback in the Google review, okay, and as well as in our company website. And because your reviews are very much important for us to continue doing our service, right? Free service. So please share your reviews in our Facebook, in our company portal, as well as in our Google reviews. Whatever the Google reviews, wherever you are seeing it, please give your reviews. As well as we also wanted to share a few things. There are some for this particular beginner session. You can share your 1 minute video testimonial to us, ctms@cloudtechmind.in. And for certain client or certain video testimonials, we will be offering 50% of offer discount. Okay, whichever is extremely very good and it is useful, or it is clicking more value add, right? Particularly only for the video testimonials. So please kindly share your video testimonials, which can be like 1 to 2 minutes, just a very simple, straightforward. Even you can take it from your mobile. That's absolutely fine for us, so that it will be very much value add for our company to go to the next level, right? So please share your video testimonials for 1 minute, and share your Google reviews, YouTube channel, please subscribe it, right? And rest of the things, I think we will keep uploading a lot of multiple corporate level guys involving, and putting a lot of beginner level videos. And next week probably we have digital marketing session. If you are very much interested, you can join as well. At the same time, please don't forget the 20% offer will be available only till tomorrow midnight, and after that that link will not be active. So I request you to join. I think you saw the whole screenshot. We have a breakup of 3 hours, 2 hours, etc. showed by Vijay. It was completely designed with lot of thoughts got into it. People who are out of non-IT, people who doesn't even know programming, people who are completely new to this. Taking into consideration all these people who have lost jobs. I know that several people called us telling us, I am lost the job, can I do this, etc. Okay, people who are looking for job change, career upliftment, people who are looking new to job, entrepreneurs, all these people considering mind, we have structured this course. Okay, feel free to call us anytime, and our BD team will call you tomorrow, and I request you to share the feedback. Any other questions, guys? You can throw us now. And the session for you, it will be on Saturday and Sunday, okay? And there will be one clarification session at the middle, Wednesday. Even though it is a weekend session, we will be running around, initially for the first 1 month, we will start with 3 hours. But the down line, maybe second month, third month, we will move to 5 hours, okay? And after 6 months also, you will have support. Maybe 3 to 4 months, you will have a direct support with Vijay. And you will have a lifetime support from CTMS if you join this course. Okay, that is the second thing. And project level guidance, as Vijay explained, all these things you will be getting up. And on top of that, we do have tie-ups with multiple HR consultancies, and we have a prime member partnership with LinkedIn and all these things. And we used to get all the updates of openings across the globe. Okay, which company is opening up with what kind of technology, not only data science, across the technology, right? And so in terms of interview, how to crack the interview, obviously we have people who are actually in the interview panel. So we will be guiding you on how to crack the interview, how to build your resume if you're little bit need help there. Guidance. So all these things will be taken care of from CTMS. On top of the technical team, we do have our business development team where they will take care of all these things. Okay. Anything else? And I predominantly, if you have any specific, if you want, as I told, Saturday, Sunday will be the session, but dedicated session, query session will be arranged on Wednesday, 9 to 11, people who are joining this session, right? So don't feel that you will not be given any queries or how the queries will be solved, etc. If you have queries, you have to throw a mail to support that. We will give you a mail ID and we will be answering simple queries in that mail. Suppose you need to show a demo or you want to show where you got stuck in your coding, there will be a dedicated time slot on Wednesday wherein Vijay will come and explain you or will break the problem. Okay, so that is the structure we have. And if you have any personalized questions from your end, you can ask us later by calling our number, which is there in the website. Okay. That's it. Anything else, guys? We will just open it for another 2-3 minutes for your questions. Then we can close the call. If nobody has any questions.
If anybody has any questions, probably I'm ready to answer from the technical side or from support, job support, or etc. Any questions? We are here to help you out.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Shri.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. You do some kind of any consulting also, like suppose I have an idea and then you guide me or you collaborate with me and do that, or how it is like? Is it possible? Maybe it's a different question to ask in this session. Or
consulting meaning like we didn't get the exact problem statement. So you're looking for
maybe like probably I have some kind of a domain knowledge and I want to implement this data science and ML into that. Okay, my expertise is not into that data science and ML. Okay, so my domain is a totally different, like multimedia, or graphics, or etc. Okay. So just I want to bring in some kind of this ML techniques into that. So I am having some idea and I want to implement that particular feature. Okay. So at that point of time.
Yes. You can call. Yes. You can definitely do that. Yes.
So
you will call us and we will have a dedicated team, as I said, right? We don't do just training also. We are also doing consulting outside. If you see our website, you will be able to know. So if you have any specific, we are doing some projects as well as things like that. So if you have a dedicated consulting thing also, you can look into that. Based on that, the cost will be there. It's a typical consulting. If you have a project kind of a thing, you can let us know. What is it? Based on the requirement, we will let you know.
Okay, understood. And one more thing, like regarding your training, like so like we have, I just missed a few things. Like you have any the fee structure, anything, how you planned out and all?
Fee structure for this program, is it?
Yes, right.
This is 30,000 for data science and machine learning. Okay, and if that's what I said, we have 20% discount till tomorrow midnight. Okay, normally we will run the shows every weekend. Okay, and then we will make the beginner sessions free, because they have to understand what is it, etc. Right? Many people as of now are having job insecurity and things like, they don't know what technology to choose. All these digital technologies are very much new, so that's why we are running this beginner session to for them to understand themselves where they fit. Okay, and you will also, we will be, it's not like so somebody comes in the sales and you don't even know who is going to take the session in some other institutions, right? So we don't want, we are, since we are also doing consulting and all these things, we pretty much have a dedicated team in our company, right? So whoever is getting the beginner session, they will only take the corresponding bigger programs. And that's what I request or suggest you take the first immediately the booking and take the 20% discount, so that it will be like 24K.
Okay.
Sunday afternoon it will be move off because of certain commitment from consultants and all these things, right? So they will expect some number to come up, right? So that is where we have this privilege of this 20% offer.
Okay.
Right.
So like it's a one-time payment, or you have any installment? Yeah.
We have one-time payment, and then we have other option is 2 installments. Only these 2 things, because certain people will ask for installment. So we have 2 installments actually. Single payment is the first thing which
So
will
you will share these
and
details
the
to
next thing is the 2
overall attended
discount.
the session? You will share the details who all attended the session, or?
Yeah, we will send. Sorry, what is the question?
No, this fee related details you will send directly to the who all attended, or how it is
No,
like?
you need to call us, right? You need to call us. You have the number in our website, and as well as
Yeah.
we can actually type it here. I will just type it after this thing. 1 minute. It's 9789351057. So call this number, and they will help you on the fees and structures like that. You can check it out in any of these other prime institutes. Okay, I can challenge you that you will not get such a pricing. You can check it anywhere, whatever the content and all these things. You feel free to compare yourself. You will get to know. It's very much clear, because the structure we have taken almost 5 to 6 months in structuring this content alone. Okay, and last batch and previous batch and all, we have got almost 6 to 7 batches have gone, and we, based on multiple feedbacks, we have fine-tuned this. So you can yourself compare it and you'll
Understood. One thing, like so you will be conducting the sessions on weekends, right? And you have
yes.
a QA will be predominantly, you'll get individual email ID, and you'll answer them on the week on Wednesday, right?
Correct. Every Saturday and Sunday, first 1 hour slot will be given for query session, and Vijay will directly answer those, right? And
So
he will
how
use,
many? So how many hours you'll take for each session on weekends? Like the timings, I would
So
like to.
first, that's what, first 1 month it will be like 3 months, 3 hours, sorry, 3 hours. Okay, to get the speed of it. And the second month we will be having it for 6 plus 6. Saturday 6, Sunday 6.
So is it?
Yeah.
Understood.
And because you will have at least 1 hour or half an hour of clarification sessions. And Wednesday is predominantly because you will have some assignments or projects to work on, right? Everything. So you'll be working on Monday to on weekdays. So if you want to, that's where we are having this Wednesday slot. So when you send the queries to us, you have to keep sending the queries in the mail. What is the problem statement, where you get stuck and all. Our support team will answer those questions. Suppose there might be some instances where you need to literally show it in your screen and get it clarified, right? So that is where this Wednesday slots comes into picture.
Okay.
Right.
Understood. So just my only one thing is, like, suppose if we miss some session, like 6 hours will be
shared with the recorded version, Sridhar, right? So suppose if you miss one session, right, you will be shared with the recorded version.
Okay, that's great. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, please do send to me, like when you are planning to start this course, like.
So we will be starting, probably I have to check with certain analysis, but mostly we will start by next week itself, October 10th. Okay. Worst case scenario is October 10th or 17th. We will come back to you, but mostly it will be October 10th. Okay. We have already got some last time people who missed, they were asking. So it will be like October 10th. Because we don't have a huge, we don't want to delay further, right? So every week it will keep starting actually. Otherwise, it will be like October 17th. We will let you know on that tomorrow. So you can call us on that and Saturday, next Saturday, right? October 10th. Yeah. So mostly it will be the following week actually.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Sridhar. Anything else? Anybody else? Any other questions?
Yeah, the trainers will be like Vijay and the whoever spoke today.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Correct.
So they will be talking about, and they'll take some case study and then some kind of an example.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, fine. Please do send to me the link and all. Probably you have my email ID as well. You can send to the email ID.
Sridhar, yes, I have that. Yeah.
Yeah. You have the email ID. You can please send the link.
Sure. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, send us your reviews. Don't forget it. Okay, and I specifically request your video testimonials. That is very important for us to continue, because beginner session, as you know, it is very niche skill. Nobody gives that. So for us to serve better and better, please share your video testimonials. It's a very simple, very casual. 1 minute is enough. Just 1 minute, and you can share that. Okay, and that's it. Fine. Anybody else? One last final question. Anything else? Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. It was a great evening for all of us. Good technical session. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for it. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.